Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Brain Dump with Ronald. This is episode 26. And today I'm with my really good friend Vic. Um, we met in San Francisco a few years ago. Um, Actually through an app. It was interesting. We met through Bumble BFF, which is like a friend version of the app, and then we got to know each other. He has a pretty cool life story, some pretty cool experiences to share. He's written a book. He's working on another book, which he'll probably talk about. Um, so everyone, welcome Vic to episode 26. How are you doing today?
Yay! I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to be at your show or your podcast.
Awesome. Awesome. How are you like in LA so far?
It's been interesting. Yeah, it's almost, let's say, my first time in LA. So I
Okay.
decided to have a random trip and stop in LA. It's been interesting to see the dynamic where I left the gig nerdy slash vibe of the Bay Area with computer stuff into a spot where everyone looks fly and ready to go, ready to act, ready to share some creativity. It's a big contrast, so it's been interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, do you I don't know, I guess like because you lived, how long have you been in the US, and then how long have you been in San Francisco?
Um, Around, I'm getting close to 5 years now.
Okay.
And the thing is, when I flew here, the first place that I came was California, and I was
Yeah.
just in the area. And after California, I went to Portland, and that was another random trip. Like I felt like I like the hipster culture, and people told me there's a lot of that in Portland. So I just took a flight. Same thing with the South, Florida. Seafood is good in Florida. I was like, really? And I went there.
Yeah.
And that's how I made it to LA as well.
Okay, cool. Um, and then I remember like when you wanted to take this, actually let me back up. I just want to give people some context for who they're listening to. Tell us like, I guess it's a brief story. I know it's like very long, but just tell us like a brief story of sort of like, like where you're from, like who you are, and like, what you do right now, and like, I guess like what led up to that.
Yeah, I have a new definition or new way to explain where am I from. I like to say I'm from places that I feel wanted, welcome, and loved. That's where I'm from, and I'm a citizen of the world. So I have families that have ramification in the Caribbean, France, and Africa on the west coast of Africa, and have been home, a country less, if I can say it, a country less for the past 15 years, where I live in different places around the globe. I spend a lot of time in Asian country.
Mhm.
I had a background in finance, and that's what I study mainly. And I just had to do a big switch from finance to the tech world as a user experience designer. And since then, I've been doing it as my main job, and I'm passionate about drawing. That's something
Mhm.
that I do to relax and chill. Like I cannot draw on demand, but I usually, when I feel something about someone or some vibe, and I would just take my pen and start drawing them.
Oh, cool. Okay. Cool. You just use like a pen and paper.
A mouse.
Oh, you
Like
do
when
it
I
like
say
on the
pen, it's
computer?
mainly like,
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. I remember you drew that like picture of me, like I think it was like before we even met or something, or like I sent
yes,
you like a picture, or it was on Bumble or something. You like drew it.
yes. As I was
Yeah.
saying, usually there is people when I would look, And that's usually when I know I'm meant to know someone, either something
Okay.
that they say or the depth of their picture tells you a lot about who they are, what they believe in, and how many hidden stuff they have, like richness that they don't
Mhm.
express. And when I see through an image, I'm just like, I'm gonna draw you.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's like your favorite, like do you draw people like in public, or how do you get that inspiration if you find someone, like what if do you always do it like right there, or do you like go home and then do it?
No, I usually go home. I will either take a picture or take a screenshot and just observe the picture and try to redraw it and think about the universe around them. And that's kind of helped me
Mm,
to recreate the background. Like if you remember your picture, the background was like the original picture you were on the beach or there were like some kind of sunset
yeah.
behind. But when I did the illustration, I don't remember exactly how it looked like, but it was more of, urban or
Hmm.
some vibe with,
Like a city.
yes.
Yeah, I
And that was
remember. Yeah.
the vibe that I had even before knowing that you were in the main city, San Francisco, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Um, what like how did you I guess like what are you feeling about like your work right now, in like balancing that with your book and everything? Because do you feel like it's hard to balance those things, or how do you do both of those at the same
It's
time?
been interesting because I feel like the job that I'm doing, which is UX designer, helped me to do the book because there is a design process. And to follow those process, I can apply it to my book. And the book that I'm working on right now is about accessibility. And accessibility is a subject that is well known for a lot of UX designer. But the one that I'm focusing on is invisible disabilities. So, and I
Yeah.
can use work process to process my book. So it's a good like 50-50 where some of the findings that I'm going to do with the book will help me professionally to grow and create some changes internally.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have another book that you already wrote, right? Like before.
Yes.
Um, yeah, could you tell
Yeah.
us like a little
The first
bit
one,
about that one?
the first one is called My Black Condition. It's written in French, which is Ma Condition Noire. Et ma condition is my condition in French, and noir stand for black. And I did it because it was a kind of resume of what I've been through for the past 15 years. And the fact that I
Mm,
have been traveling and being in touch with a couple of different culture. And I
yeah.
was concerned with something which was what's wrong with the black skin. And I was trying to understand if it was something that I just saw where I was, or it was something real in different countries. And I just got a chance to move and travel, and I was going to meet people from different places. I started with Africa. I went to as much country in the continent, and then went to Asia, and then Europe, and then Middle East, and now America. So I haven't been to South America yet, and
Yeah.
Australia and Japan. So those are the places that I still need to go and see what it means to be Black in those places. And also what is the
Yeah.
correlation and the similarity that we have. And it was also another way to tell my story as someone who's a people person and who have an idea of what it's meant to be human, and learn from myself, what do we really have in common. So the book is mainly about my story and experience on how the code switch that my family taught me, that my mom did, kind of did make
Mm,
sense now that I live in America and stuff like that. And understood that she had to lie to me about the beauty of the world so that I won't see the word for what the word is really. Where it's like the code suite that I can apply in France may not work in America, so I have to relearn new
I see.
social skills in order to survive in this place where being Black can mean different things.
I see. So you feel like that was easier in like France or different in like those other places than here?
It's funny. I had to be in America to appreciate how bad was other places and also how good they have been in certain area. I would say it's different where it's like the beauty with the Asian countries, they may have that stigma about what it means to be Black, but they are more open when you go through them respectfully and curious about their religion, curious about their food, curious about who they are. Like when you do that extra job to understand who they are and to respect them, they are more open to you than other places where it's like, here you can be as curious as you want about a non-Black culture. If people don't with you, they won't try to even make it work. So, and in Europe, the style is pretty different where it's more of an assimilation type of culture. So in order to be, you need to assimilate yourself to what already exists. And when you have been doing that for years, you don't even think about it. You just do it. It seems to be normal. And when you come to
But it's
America
hard.
and then you, yes.
But it's
And you're
something
just
that
like,
white people don't have to do.
yes. Like there's something about the pitch of your voice when you speak. We call it gorgé, talking through your throat, which makes you sound more intelligent, more eloquent, where it's like when you find something similar in English, in America, it's what we call proper English and the Black English. So you have the same thing in French where you literally have to switch your voice and be more of oui, bonjour, mais je pense que la vie elle est belle, mais tu vois, en principe, instead of just saying, I will switch from oui, bonjour, comment ça va to that's the French, the legit proper French way to say instead of hey, bonjour, comment ça va? Et les nouvelles, on dit quoi? That's more like proper to either other type of immigrant that moved there and everything.
Okay, I see.
So yeah.
I guess like, did you feel something, I guess like traveling in Africa versus Europe, versus Asia, like how did you see yourself? I guess like where did you feel like most comfortable and where did you feel like the least comfortable? And how did like the people that were around you affect like I guess like how your day-to-day life went or just like your comfortability level?
If I have to take an image, I will do, when I moved here, I used to live in Pleasanton, California. And let's say Pleasanton, California will be Europe. Because I was there, I couldn't fit. Only because everyone could see me. Like even if I tried to do anything, I was like one of the few Black in my block. And everyone was like, dude, move to Oakland or at least go to San Francisco in some area where it's like you can literally fade into the environment. And when I moved to Oakland, I felt like, oof, no one sees me. Like, it's not like you don't want to be in, but you just want to be like everyone. So unless I open my mouth to talk in Oakland, I'm just another regular Black man walking in the street.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's
but then they hear your accent or something,
yes.
And then they're like, oh, yeah. I see.
So in the meantime, you don't have to deal with people staring at you like in Pleasanton. You can just be and be cool. And it's almost the same dynamic with Africa and Europe, where it's like in Africa, there is so many Black persons, so you don't have to worry about how you look like. So people may even think you are from the country unless you open your mouth and start talking. I was like, oh, interesting. Where are you from? Oh, you don't speak this, you don't speak that. And now that curiosity will start to know, where are you coming from? And those who don't know that there is many Black around the globe will try to know. And I think that's the kind of dynamic where, like in Africa, it's the spot where you don't feel alone because there is so many of you in different version. In Europe, and that's something that I also find out where like it's legit Black people nod at each other around the globe. And I was like, why do they do that? How do they know? Who told them to do
Yeah.
that? And it's a sign of I see you and you look like me and hi. And I thought that was interesting to know that that's not something that I was taught, but I just knew that I should have. I just have to do it. Well, it's like now you see and here to see the same thing in America, I was like, interesting. But yeah, it's been definitely different between those places. And each of them suffer from the lack of knowledge of other Blacks around the globe, which can be difficult at some point when you have to deal with people who are ignorant and people who have previous bad experience with either someone from Africa or someone from America or someone from Europe.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess like what have you find that like other Black people like mostly feel the same way, or like you can connect with them like even through these other countries, like even though they grew up in a different environment, you're saying like there's something similar about like all Black people, that there's like a mutual understanding of like the experience? Or do you think it's different where in Africa it's completely different because they're majority Black, and they feel different about being Black versus like being Black here and being Black in Europe? Is it like if you're coming from Africa, do they even see themselves as Black, or do they just see themselves as like a person, you know? Or do they still, is there still that concept of Blackness in Africa where everyone is Black?
Yeah, they have been told they are Black, and the only difference is for those who are colonized by the French, instead of saying Black, they will say Noir. So it's the same word, just being used in different language and culture, and you will see it in the Middle Eastern. There is a term to say Black, which is in Arabic. In India, there is a term to say Black, which is so. And same for the N word. So each of them have the pronunciation of the exact same word, even in the Caribbean. So the beauty of traveling is you sit and just like, how the fork, they all have those different similarity. And that's, I feel like, the beauty that America brought to me, to just sit and put all those experiences in front of me and say, it's similar. And now you can just understand how system work and how there is a common Black experience, which is we can connect when it's about the struggle. We can connect about the fight. We can connect, like, I may not know you from years, but if you decide to come and sit and explain me how it's hard for you to make it in the industry, I can relate at some point. If you explain me, but for example, light skin issue, I may not be able to understand. I may say, that's a privilege. I wish I had your skin color. And it's just like, you may be better. Let's say if I put you with Trevor Noah, he's also a mix. So you may have to learn more about, you may see a lot of similarity if you make any kind of jokes and stuff like that. But because of the one drop rule, you count as Black. So we still have that common struggle, maybe different life, maybe different definition of struggle, But when we see
Hmm.
the experience, we can say, hey, bro, I feel you. I respect you. You
Yeah.
did great. I'm proud of you. Stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel that. How, I guess like when you work in your professional life, like what was, were you, I guess like was it hard, like I guess like was it hard to be, because I feel like you work in, you know, an industry where there's not many, you know, like black people. Um,
Mhm.
do you find it hard to just, I guess, like communicate, or like is there anything that you feel like would be, I guess like would be easier, or like I guess like how do you automatically bond with like other people of color, like, you know, in your workplace, like just because they shared the same experience? And like, do you feel, I guess like, do you feel any certain way about, I guess, working with like a majority that's not you, or like how do you, how do you navigate that? And have you, I guess, have you seen anything where it's like you're like, oh, this would be easier if I was like white, or this would be easier if I was like different, or is that like
I would,
not the case?
I would say not 100% because of the culture of the company that I work for. And on the other hand, something that I wish that I could have done easily is how to handle imposter syndrome, for example, because
Mhm.
that thing will hit you at the point where you don't expect it, where you feel like you don't belong,
Mm.
where you feel like, and those things it's in your head, but because you don't know how to say it to people who don't look like you, so they may not understand how you feel. And that's just the fight where it's like, how do I tell to someone who don't understand what it's meant to be black in a tech, what it's meant to be the only of you around many of those who don't look like you, that I feel like I don't belong. And I just want to express my fears, my uncertainty, and all those things. And then you just have to swallow it back and just like, it's okay. I don't think they can get it. Or I don't want them to misinterpret what I'm saying into I'm not appreciative of the blessing that I have. So
Yeah.
there is those inner conversation and fight that you have inside, and you just like hope to have someone that you can tell and they will just like, and there's something that you will see in a lot of people say it, but I think and I believe that it's mainly used by among black people is, you know what I mean? So where it's like they will tell a story and every few seconds, huh? You know what I mean? You know what I mean is, and
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
so
I'm
it's
gonna say it right now. Like I know what you mean.
so it, it it's a way where it's like you just acknowledge your person into I feel you. So it's not even I know what you mean is I really feel you. Like you may not be able to say, but I know what you want to
Yeah,
say.
it's like the experience. Yeah, it's just like
Yep.
something that you go through because of what you look like. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
you can't even express it in words. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So and that's something that I've observed that a lot of black people say. And to be in a space where there is not a lot of you, it's a risk to express how you really feel, to express because to be black
Hmm.
and be emotional can be risky in a sense where that can be used against you and that can be seen as a sign of weakness. But it's also great because when you can open up and be emotional about what's going on through your life, then you can grow, then you can heal. And sometimes the safe place to do it is among people who can feel you, can understand you, and then push you up so that your story can be used to empower instead of just being used to be tokenized. And I think that's one of the main difference and why I think and I believe that there is a beauty in diversity where it's like if we have room and space with the mix of everyone, then we can recreate safe zone for those people to just be, and at the same time go back to be productive also for the company or the workplace or or the school or the space where they are at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I feel like weird in a way because like I was always like I was raised in an environment that was like 88% white.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up all around white people and I always felt very different.
Mm-hmm.
And like no matter what, I would always get like comments about like my hair or like, how I was black or like different. And I didn't like that, like I feel like a lot of black people who grow up around like white people, like they don't necessarily like being black. Like they feel like the more black they are, the harder it is for them to like feel good and like survive or like, get things done or like make friends. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
like that for a long time. Um, but when I moved to California and like I went, I started going to like college and stuff, I was around like more diverse people and I started to like learn, I guess like I started to accept being black more for like the first time in my life, like maybe like a few years ago. I like started to think about what it means to like be okay with being black and like not like look at my white friend and just be like, oh, I wish I was like them or something. Cause then like I would feel more confident or something like that. But like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it is that like when I'm talking to another black person, it's like you just understand what they're going through like automatically like in a certain way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, for
Yeah.
example, what you just say, I know what you mean because I've been there too. And that's where I was
Hmm.
saying that's the beauty of the Black experience, where I don't have to know you to acknowledge one of your story and your experience as a Black man, where it's like it's not a way to attack other culture, but it's a way to say, I understand my person. And I love the idea of diversity in a sense where it creates exposure, where it's like now you don't see yourself as different because you can go to a school where there is Asian student, where there is African, there is Black from other place, there is white from other country, and you just
Hmm.
now get out of your bubble and go to see other people bubbles, and it kind of ring in your head. And it's like, what is my bubble? How can I tell about who I am and the beauty of my
Yeah.
mix? And why is my name a combination of two different stuff? And what is the story? And now you start telling your story in your own term because you have been exposed to uh, to a different perspective, and that creates a richness in the definition of who you are based on what you learn about who other people are.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and there's also like, there's also like different layers. Like there's like sexual orientation, there's like
Mm-hmm.
being a man, being a woman. That's all different too. Like that's going on at the same time. Um, which is like
Uh,
crazy
I would say
too. Cause like
yes. That was also something that I had to struggle with, where it's like each of those places have a different definition what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, what it
yeah.
means to be friend with other boys, what it's been to be friend with girls. So the idea behind the sexualization on a friendship between a man and a woman wasn't definitely the same in other country, where it's like when I was in India, I've seen friends that will literally work hands in hand on the street and singing, or put their hands into someone else's shoulders, sleep on their friend laps, see girlfriends beating each other. Like they have that slash of sisterhood, and then by country, when you move, that notion means different stuff. And that's the result of cultural. And that's where traveling can be messed up, in a sense where you learn new code and you can forget like by the way, where did I get it? And when you move in America, you get the notion of boundaries where anything that you can do can go to this. I've heard that phrase maybe thousand and thousand times. That's some gay shit. Like people will associate their ignorance into something that they don't know just to secure themselves. And that idea of toxic masculinity. I've seen in Africa a family where mothers are the chief, matriarchal system where she's the one that takes care of the family and kids. And here it's just like the way the system was built is we are more willing to fight and be aggressive, things that we don't know. And we don't even take time to learn what it's meant to be that or what it's meant to have people from there and this community. But we just build up the assumption and the fear that we have been having for years. We don't have experience, but we just make statement where it's like, I made a choice. I myself was a normal and I've been qualified as strange and bizarre. So I like those who are bizarre because I'm just like, that's an opportunity to learn about them and see what, instead of calling them bizarre, what make them special. And why they don't have to fit all the box of how the society means, what it's meant to be a young African, American, Italian, young Black man. How are you supposed to behave? Do you need to eat pasta every day and mix with mac and cheese? Like all those stupid stereotypes that we put whenever we see someone origin, instead of just trying to know them for who they are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's like I feel like because I don't have any because like since I'm like mixed, I guess like there's no like for me it's like there's no I feel like everyone is mixed to like on a certain degree, but like I feel like there's no like I always question, you know, who I was. Like because I was like there's no way around it, you know, like it's like you can't belong fully to one group. And there's no way around it. You always feel like you're different. And you know, even if you're with like white people, it's like you feel different. If you're with Black people, you still feel different. And it's just like I don't know. It's just hard.
Advocate for both sides where it's like you are both. When you are with the white, you have to stand and educate them on what it's meant to be Black and how there is beauty. When you are with the Black, you have to also advocate on how, you know, my mom is not what you portray. There's some people in my family that have high appreciation. So it can be hard to be, as you were saying, people, there is different dimension of being mixed. But when you are either Blasian or Black Italian and all those mix that is physical, like visible.
Yeah.
Literally being asked to choose between your mom and dad. And the hard is you experience those two people love at the same time and you have different relationships with them. And now you have to pay for historical prejudice that usually have nothing to do with your mom and dad and your direct relatives. And when you just start growing up, you have to make the choice to educate both sides of your family on what it's mean to be you and and more respectful and intentional with those who are not their kids, but are different from you.
Yeah. Did you like what were your parents like in your upbringing?
I would say they were pretty patient because I was more of an introvert and also to have an autistic kids slash ADHD, that wasn't a thing. They were kind of trying to get me more involved.
They didn't know about that.
My mom knew.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they were more trying to get me involved into the outside world, push me to do things, but not fully push me and stuff like that. Where it's like, so I would say they were pretty supportive on my social skill. And now they are surprised to even see how I've been working through it, where it's just like I can seem to be really extrovert when you see me for the first time, but I don't know if you remember, I can handle the whole party.
I remember that.
Like I will be on for 15 minutes and after I will just disappear. Where you won't hear me, you won't, because I can't. It's so many things going on around me. But when it's a 15, 20-minute thing, I can do it. Like I will go in Hollywood Boulevard, jump, dance on the street for 15 minutes, and after I would just like,
That's it.
yeah. And those were social skills that I literally had to work on, psychology of in social interaction and know what people will go to and just bring out conversation that people won't like to do. And so that I won't get bored, you won't get bored. The worst is you don't like it and won't try to talk with me in the future. And the beauty is we find and learn from each other through a deep conversation.
Yeah, yeah. What are some of the ways that you worked on that? Like your social skills?
Observing, asking a lot of questions and being curious and not being scared to do wrong. The only danger is, in our social relationship, we always make statement about it's okay, call me at any time. It's okay, ask whatever you need. I used to believe those things until you learn like,
Mm,
oh, when people say they
they
don't really
just say,
mean
yeah.
it. And for me, that was like, wow, I discovered something amazing. And you're like, no, it's been like that for a long time. And you kind of every time you kind of forced to wake up into a reality that you wasn't ready for. And
Oh,
which led me, when I make statement like that, I will always say, and I mean it. So call me anytime. If I can, I won't be. If I'm available, I will. And I will always just try to avoid small talk because I can do them well. And if I do it, it's just mean like I have no interest to know who you are. And and as I was saying, traveling helped me to understand that regardless of our color and country of origin, we have a lot in common as human that we think we do. And it's that ability to love, to be loved, to forgive, to cry, to seek for attention, to provide, to be protect, and all those different emotions that we all share, regardless of the language.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like I went to Japan and I was like really shocked, like how, because I guess like in America, like people generally like make more eye contact with each other. And I know
Mhm.
other countries is probably more than here, but in Japan, it's like people don't really look at you like they like everyone is like in their own box like when they're in public and
Mhm.
like it's like all about politeness. Like when you're talking to anyone older than you have to like say certain things, or like if someone is serving you, like if someone's working at a restaurant or you're a customer and they're serving, they have to like speak in a certain way. And they like everyone like stands in a certain way too. It's like they're very like, yeah, it's like they know and they bow, yeah. But
Mhm.
when I got back to America, it was almost like a reverse culture shock because in America, even even the police or the TSA people at the airport or even the people while they're working, they're just like, yeah, dude, or like, what's up? And in Japan, it's like you would never say dude or like what's up to someone you didn't know. Like you just wouldn't do that. You would say like hello, sir, like how are you? You know what I mean? Like So that was like that was something in Japan I liked. I was like, wow, I really like how people are like very polite here. And then when I went back to America, I was like, wow, like, everyone is like people are just staring at me in public. Like everyone's like rude. Like it seemed like everyone seemed like they were like ruder, I guess.
Mm,
So I don't know. It just made me think about, and I felt like when I came back, I was like acting like that. Like I was acting like how a Japanese person would. I had to like readjust because I was there for 3 weeks.
mhm.
So it was like, I feel like it was enough time to like fall into like the
Yeah.
social rhythm of it. Because even if you don't know the language or you don't know the culture, it's like you just look at other people and you learn from them and you mimic their behavior. And I fell into
Mhm.
that. And then I had to do it again when I got back.
Yeah, the reverse cultural
Yeah.
shock is something. It's real.
Hmm.
It's real. And that's just the most difficult thing when you either a traveler or coming from parents with different background and you have to go back and forth. It's just like, okay, I have to reset. What again? Oh, I say that. Oh, okay, okay. Well, it's like I found myself cursing more where I used to be when I was hearing people cursing at the beginning. It's like, why you guys
Mm.
cannot talk without adding the F word everywhere? It just sounds like a mantra. And now I will cut myself into meeting and say, how the you can't
Yeah.
do this like out? I'm sorry. And with the fact that English is not my native language, there's stuff that I've learned in English that I never know an alternative. So where it's like I would say, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it in the different way, but that's fucked up. And that's the only word, for example, that I know. I only know fucked up. And I heard people saying fucked up when they face something similar to what I just faced. So I don't know if there
Hmm.
is a meaning. I don't even know what it's mean. But I know when you have something that looks like that, people usually say fucked up. So
Yeah.
if you ask me to define, I was like, hey, and I will usually say that to my boss. I say, I'm sorry if it sounds like a curse, but I don't know a better way to say it, but that's fucked up. And they
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
laugh and say, yeah, instead of saying fucked up, you could have said that's interesting or that's like they will find synonym to, and they will suggest me to use when I see stuff like that. So it depends on who I was in
Yeah.
touch with first and what grammar they program in my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at work, you can't say like the F word or anything.
Yeah, I've said that even
Yeah.
in big meetings.
Just like on accident without think. Yeah.
uh,
Do you feel like tech is like a good, I guess like a good, because I've never like really worked in tech. Like, do you think it's pretty like open compared to like, do you feel comfortable in your own skin, like with like the clothing that you wear? Because it seems like it's like when I went to the office, it's like you can pretty much wear like more or less like what you want. Is like everyone looks nice, but like I
mhm.
guess they could just wear like what they want. Like that's what it seems like.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
it's it's the goal and it depends on the company culture. The place where I work, they are mainly open to come to us as you are. And that's where like you rock yellow hair, come with your yellow hair. You rock this, come with that. And now as human, and as I was talking about the imposter syndrome thing is, let's say in my team, I was the only one with dreads. Even though
Yeah.
the statement was come as you are, I will find a way to hide them and wear a beanie on the top and make it look like I had normal hair. Now with time, I gained in confidence. I was more sure about the quality of my work. So I didn't want the fact that the way I dress kind of affect other people's perception of me. I was like, hey, I can already change my skin, and there is already a lot of stereotype attached to my skin color. I have a huge accent, which will disqualify me again and make me there look dumb, even if I'm intelligent, which is the downside with accent. When you don't have a proper accent, you set up yourself to sound like you cuckoo, not cuckoo, but not
Mm,
intelligent usually. Only for people who are not really educated, they can interpret it that way. And then if you also add on the top of that fancy haircut, so even though the industry invites you to come as you are, but you will have to censor yourself in order to fit. Where it's like for me, at the beginning, it was more a journey of me that wanted to be part of. And to be part of, I had to convince myself that I have to shut down who I am and just fit what everybody are.
yeah. So there's still like some judgment going on, like silently to some extent. And maybe it's just like yourself judging you. But
Yeah, like the judgment that I had on myself for real, the judgment that other people had, and that's also the beauty of PC culture. People may have judgment, they won't tell you. They'll, hey, I love your shirt. So, and that's something that I was saying a lot in the Bay. I was like, see people complimenting each other's shirt, and I was like, random, why do you like it? No, no, oh, you look good on the shirt. I was like, is that genuine? So I will always observe
yeah.
people at the bar to see how they give compliment. And I was like, did she really mean it or she was just trying to be nice?
Yeah,
Like,
you're
hey,
trying to
Brown, I
figure it
love
out.
your hair. Oh, yeah, that's cute. What's the deal? Like, I haven't go to the barber for a month. Oh, I don't know what you like. I don't know. It's different. There is something.
Yeah, it's
So
like, why are they saying this? Like, yeah.
that's another thing that that I was pretty sure with what people think about me. I wasn't too sure because people try the best to be polite and respectful. Where it's like I will either ask for feedback, or it's like I don't even think. Even I did it with you at some point where I was like, "Hey, do you have anything to tell me about the way I behave and how I move?" Because me, I want to hesitate to say, yeah, I think you were a little bit off when I met you. I think you were this. So I will kind of openly give those feedback, but based on the culture where you grew up, you can feel like, oh, maybe it's not my place to say, or I just should be more acceptable of who that person is. And the worst case scenario, I can take my distance when I get overwhelmed. But on the other ways, I feel like you don't help the other person to grow and to be better if you really believe there's thing or area that it can work on.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, so I wanted to ask you about the cards. Now, you said you had like a card thing. So,
So I don't know if you listen this. I think you should sponsor my homeboy Ron, and he will give some hour to your part, and we would love to mention you as a sponsor for this program. So one day we will say this show have been sponsored by. So
so
so I'm gonna ask you to pick one, and just when you're ready, just say stop.
okay, stop.
So if you become a leader of a country, what will be the press? What will the press say about you?
Okay. I would say I feel like they would say that I stand for democratic principles. I feel like I'm bipartisan. Like I feel like I would just want to hold the country together, honestly. Um, I feel like they would say that I'm a good leader, but I don't know. I feel like I might change my opinion, which is like very unpopular for leaders to do sometimes. Like I feel like we give leaders like a lot of shit for like changing their opinion or something, even though like things change and like everyone changes their opinion on things. But for some reason, people who are in power, like I feel like there's like a stigma that it's like weak if you like change your opinion or like alter what you're doing. So I feel like that might be some of the negative criticism that I would face, in this like hypothetical country situation. Like people might say that I maybe I'm like flip-flopping or something.
Oh, okay. So I
So that's
sent you
that
a
one.
couple of cards so that you can choose one and ask me.
Okay, let me see. Let me see. Okay, I'm looking at them. Okay, I'm gonna choose this one. If all your exes got together, what's one complaint they would all agree on?
I should have removed that one. Can you say it again?
Yeah. If all of your exes got together, what's one complaint that they would all agree on?
Oof. Something that I've heard is I prioritize, I make other people priorities instead of making them. Where it's like, yeah, when it's to go and feed the poor, you will be there 24/7. When it's about helping someone, you will be there. But when I ask you to make a plan, just you and I, you find excuses. Or I think that's something that I've heard a lot, where it's just like either my work or my passion project will get over the relationship that I've been through. And I will always ask them, like, I'm with you. You already got me. So we don't have to plan and get all organized and fancy around our relationship. Let it flow. Let's do it together. Let's go and feed the people on the street. Let's go do crazy thing together. And I've heard that where it's just like, I even ask the long last relationship that I was into, like, hey, you know what? I will never cheat on you. But if there's someone that that have the same position in my life is work, which I used to think it was cool to say before, but now I've learned that you need to learn and take time to appreciate your partner and value them.
Yeah. So you mean like when so you say like they would complain about you doing like too many other things and like instead of focusing on them?
Yes.
I see. Cool. This is a cool card game thing. Is it all just questions, I guess?
Yeah, I will maybe ask you another one.
Okay.
Have you ever felt differently about a person after you had dreamed about them?
After I had a dream about them?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think so. I think I have. Like, I feel like especially with my parents or like my dad, like I remember having a dream about my dad recently, and it just made me so emotional about him in a way that like I wasn't before.
Mhm.
But like after that, it sort of like went back to normal in a way. But like I've had those times where it's like I feel really emotional about someone like after I wake up, but then like slowly it goes back to feeling like how I used to feel. So it's like calling attention to them in some way, which is like pretty interesting. That that has happened to me. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
And maybe my last one. If you have to give a true advice at someone about social media and the impact in our life, what will be the
Hmm.
advice, and based on what would you say that to the person?
Yeah, so I would say like social media is a huge double-edged sword. I think that it's only, I feel like you should post more than you look at. I feel like posting, like you shouldn't go on social media just to look. You should go on it to like post or like create things. And if you're just going on and you're just like looking at a bunch of stuff and you're not like really using it creatively, it's sort of like you're just watching TV.
Mhm.
I think it's important to be mindful of, like certain platforms that, like tickle your brain, like TikTok. It's made to like press all your buttons in your brain so that you just stay on it, like stay scrolling. So I would really honestly, like also monitor like the content that you're watching and like only follow things that are like uplifting to you. So that would be like my biggest advice.
Okay, that was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I think about a lot, social media. So yeah, so that was a cool game. Is there anything you want to tell everyone before we get going, or did you want to talk about like your book more or like anything like that?
Yeah, I will just say to people, life get more beautiful when you keep the spirit of a 5-year-old, regardless of your age. And there is no better way to appreciate who we are and who are people around us than curiosity. So I will invite people to be more curious to one another, and to not just sit from the assumption that we have been built on for years and years about other people, and to find a way to connect with people's story, background, and as human, we have more in common than we think we do, as I was saying earlier, and that even through this show, I got a chance to listen the previous interview that you had, and it was beautiful to see that you had people from different background, and that's one of the strengths that you as a person, to be the result of a mixed relationship and to have to define who you are as a person and to be
Hmm.
inclusive of those who are different from you. It's a great sign of being a big person, where it's just like you know how to value and appreciate person for who they are and use their difference to build something better. So I will invite those who listen to you to practice your mantras that you haven't shared to us yet, and to tell us how you do it and how can we apply it, because it works. uh, when we met, I was barely speaking proper English, and now I can have a proper kind of conversation. But you had the patience to instead of assuming, because I remember when we used to speak before, you were like, you were trying to say, or you mean by, you were always trying to readjust and make sure that you got what I said. And
Yeah, I remember that.
It's a big skill. So I'm going to invite other people to do the same. Take the risk to know those who are different from you, learn from them, respect them, and love them. We all gonna die one day. So all we can do is to take life as that party that have been given to us that is better than the party that we organize for our house, just for example.
Yeah, that's like very good advice. Thank you for the kind words about my podcast. I try to get, people who I think are interesting, people who I know to like, be on the podcast and, just talk about their life and like, talk about what their goals are and like what makes them tick and everything. And, it's at an interesting point now because I've interviewed almost everyone, not everyone that I know personally who's like doing something. So, I feel like it's going to get to a point where I'm probably going to start interviewing some people who I don't know, maybe who have like an online presence or, maybe there's someone who's, working on something that catches my attention and I'll reach out to them, which would be really interesting to do because everyone I've interviewed has been someone I've, met in real life. I've like known them in real life. And like, we've been, like we were friends before this podcast. So it'd be interesting to like do it more professionally, if you could say that, where I'm interviewing like just a person from the internet that I don't know anything about. Like that's a territory that I'm really curious to do, actually, like to go into. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
I will. I'm already following the podcast. And I'm just gonna invite those who are gonna listen to it to share it and invite other people to follow. And if I have anyone on my end, I would love to recommend you. And if they qualify the the position for a podcast, then I would love just to listen the conversation that you're gonna have with them.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching episode 26. This has been Vic Areno. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next week in the next episode. All right. Till then, later.